Do you know who the creator Wheat Waffles is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. There was a time period where I watched a lot of that guy's videos. In case no one knows who this is, he has kind of stopped posting, but he was one of the bigger black pill creators on YouTube. And when I say black pill, I'm referring to the idea that for men mostly, if you are not physically attractive based on genetics, that you are going to have a near impossible time getting a long-term relationship with a girl in the modern day and age. And from what I understand, a lot of the data that he has shown and a lot of the arguments that he's made are true. Like, they are true. I do think that there is sort of the unfortunate confirmation bias that a lot of people have, where if they have maybe been single for a long time, they're a virgin maybe past the age 20 or something like that, and they stumble into this kind of content, they end up believing things about themselves that may not be true, but play into a narrative that can be constructed due to the fact that they haven't had a relationship, like that they're ugly, like that they're socially awkward. And unfortunately, I think because of that, you can sort of create antisocial behavior artificially by getting people to double down on something that isn't really true, like embrace the fact that they're lonely, to embrace the fact that they're ugly or whatever, and that they're sub 5 or whatever the lingo is. But the truth is, and from a lot of the content that I've watched, it does seem like there is online especially this just really unavoidable grueling gap between what average men experience online dating and what like above average men experience online dating, that regardless of how well groomed you are or how well dressed you are is sort of unfixable.
I mean, then you need to develop a personality, or I don't know, make some money or something like that.
But wouldn't that be a non-starter, you think? Because like, if you're just not getting matches on Tinder, for example.
Oh, don't online date. Like,
right. Okay.
One of the things that, like, online dating is like a shit show. There's 25% of the profiles are women, so you're already at a disadvantage there. And like half of those profiles are sex bots or Instagram people trying to promote.
That's not true. You know that's not true. It's not half.
Well, it's a certain number, we can say.
Sure, they exist 100%.
Let's just say even the case. Let's say it's 20% women, 80% men. You're already fucked. So the women are going to have the highest standards possible because they're already in a huge minority. So if you want to avoid that, stop online dating.
Well, I guess
build friends.
I would generally agree. Like, the game is rigged from the start. Like, that I agree with. Like, just don't play the game if you don't have to. Don't online date when there's all those other options.
We used to make fun of people for online dating. We should
that's true.
that.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that you necessarily have to, but, you know, there are certain areas of the country where it would be more advantageous to online date. There are certain careers. Okay, but I guess, like, problem that you're, like, I feel like you're kind of ignoring the fact that online dating is, for a lot of people, like, one of the only ways that they can. I don't think you're being very fair.
Oh,
like,
people figured the fuck out, you know, before online dating, so figure it out. Like,
because there were no online careers. If you have an online career where, let's just say you have like an email job or you're doing something work from home, you know, what coworkers do you have? Your dog?
It's generally a bad idea to date your coworkers anyway. So find some other community that you can date. Like, go to a church, go outside, make friends.
Okay,
like,
well,
this is something that we all have to do.
We can talk about like the ways other than online dating to date in the modern day and age, because I agree with you, they exist and they're preferable. But let's ignore the fact that like the game is rigged from the start on online dating. The idea that it's still like, I feel like what you're kind of doing is saying that like, okay, instead of talking about the problems with the online dating and like what sort of the truth of that, like the truth that gets revealed because of that, just don't do it, which I guess is true. You can still talk about the problems that arise from this and like what it does show you, because you said get a better personality, okay, get more money. These are things that are all like good and will benefit you in terms of like having a good partner and being able to live a nice life. But if you're online, let's say on Tinder, and you have a great personality and you make a lot of money, these are things that they only find out after they match with you. And in order for them to match with you, they have to swipe right and you have to swipe right. You both have to swipe right on each other. And for a woman to swipe right on you, she has to be attracted to you physically. Women do not swipe right on ugly men or men that they don't find desirable. That just doesn't happen.
Right. That's why you don't play that game.
Okay,
and also there's a social aspect of attractiveness. Like, certain people have these certain personality traits that we all like. We have our certain type. Mm-hmm. And if you can show that type while people are seeing your appearance, people will be a lot more attracted to you. That's why I don't like, just see a picture, or swipe right or left.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I'm simply making the argument that without just saying, well, just don't online date or don't do anything like that, like, what do you think that shows us?
I don't know. Don't online date. Like I said.
Without saying that.
I mean, appearance matters, obviously. I've never disagreed with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've already made a video on like why I think that online dating is a rigged game. It's a response to a black pill channel where I go over a lot of these studies. I talk about like, well, yeah, there are a lot of social aspects that are important. I don't know why you would try to date someone removed of social aspects, because if you suck at socialization, your relationship's going to suck too. You're not going to be able to talk through difficult problems.
That's true. 100%.
People are going to, being physically attractive only goes so far, even with intimacy as well. If you don't have the right personality with that, like, it's not going to be very fun.
The main argument that I've heard from this channel that really stuck with me, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that you kind of need looks to get your foot through the door, which is something that
I will say that Wheat Waffles is certainly the least radical.
He's objective. He's objective with what he says.
I think that's the reason why he doesn't post content anymore, because he started giving takes that the black pill people don't really agree with, and people started shitting on him for it.
Right.
I think people get caught into this thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm sub 5, and it's like you look at pictures of them. It's like if you just lost a little weight, or like I said, got a little different hairstyle, you wouldn't have a problem finding women.
Okay, but this is another thing. So this is something that, like, I hear you say this, and I feel like it's kind of condescending to people who, like, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Like, there are some people that are just very unfortunate when it comes to genetics, and I feel like just
5'2".
Right. Okay, sure. But there are also some people where it's like they just have very unattractive faces, and I feel like there are people like you who just say like, okay, you could just get a haircut or shave or do this or do that, and it's like I feel like not only have they tried them, but they've tried to no avail. And the sort of pick yourself up, just lose some weight, do all this, like, it seems a little bit dismissive, and it puts the onus on them for dealing with a problem that genetically gifted people never have to deal with. Like, someone who's skinny, who has a nice appearance, a nice face on a dating app, let's say, who never has the problem of having a shortage of swipes, is never going to be told to go to the gym, is never going to be told to do anything like this, because they just have that gift. It just doesn't really go, it doesn't go both ways, which I think it's just unfair. And I'm not going to look at that person and then say, yeah, it's just like, you just get a haircut or do something like that,
There's the second part of this. Well, my point with that is that there are a lot of people who are black pilled who are actually just perfectly fine. The people who
that is completely true. That I agree with. Before you jump in, that is 100% true. And I said this at the very beginning. It 100%. This is the biggest problem with this black pill, is that it will convince people who aren't of this group, who aren't sub 5, or who aren't socially awkward by nature or anything like that they are. That is a big problem. It's predatory. It tells people that it's over when it's not. Now, for some people, they are going to have a very hard time. Like, for some people, they are going to be, starting at a disadvantage. They're going to be from, like, playing the game with a handicap. But the biggest problem for me is that I'll see people, like, I did this as a thought experiment one time. I went on the comment section of one of these videos that was talking about, like, oh, are you a Chad or are you a normie? And then I went to some of the comments, and I'm seeing these people saying, like, it's over. And I go to their profile, and for them, it's actually, like, they look fine. Like, I'll go to their, like, I did a little stalking. It's like I'll go on their YouTube, which is linked to their Twitter or whatever, and I see their faces. Like, okay, this guy's not even that ugly. And so
I've done that too, by the way. It's not that stalkerish.
Well, yeah, I'm just cross-referencing this, and so advantage is a little of a better use for gift. Yeah, exactly. But that's the point that I'm trying to make, right? Now, unfortunately, though, for some people, it does come down to whether or not you're shaving or showering. For a lot of people, that's gonna have such a small impact that, not that it's not worth doing, that the idea of trying it and expecting different results is a little foolish.
So for those people, what they used to do back in the day is that they would date someone who looks a little bit more similar to them. I think the problem...
Yeah, it's called Looksmaxxing.
Yeah, the problem these days is that people, especially in the black girl community, are porn addicts, and they want like a 10 out of 10 chick, and they're not going to get that. Sorry. If you're genuinely a sub 5, like you've got some problems, either, I don't know, get plastic surgery or make a shitload of money. I think if you want women that are that attractive. But do note that if you are not going for a looks match, even if you make a ton of money, you're probably still going to have problems.
Do you think that's a bit of a straw man, though, saying they're porn addicts?
No, not for black pill, no.
I think that is, though. I think that's a black... I think that
generally is true.
Okay, but okay, like, here's what I'll say to you. Like, I think whether that's true or not, wanting a 10 out of 10 girl and setting your standards high does not make you a porn addict.
Sorry, even if you're like 6, 7, 8, but you're like a 4, like you need to go for another 4. When I was a kid, there were plenty of adults, plenty of parents who got to, ugly people just got with ugly people. Like I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, but the idea is that if you're, let's just say like a 5 out of 10 and you want that 8 out of 10 girl, it's like, what do you? I mean, I still feel like the just telling them to settle.
Surgery.
Okay.
A lot of the plastic surgery is very. I have no problem with that. A lot of it's very effective these days, and as long as people can't tell, nobody gives a shit. I just don't get the height surgery because that fucks you over.
That's true. I mean, I agree with that. But wouldn't you say that, like, because there's so many people who have rebutted, like, the black pill stuff that, like, they hate saying that because they feel like it's defeatist. They say there's like, oh, if you're getting plastic surgery, that's just sort of like this intervention where, because they're like, I don't want to get too schizo with this because I've been down this rabbit hole. So there's this idea of like hardmaxxing and soft. How far down the rabbit hole have you gone? Because like back in like December 2023, I was like looking at all this shit and I like my whole Instagram reels was just like these edits and shit, mogged and whatever the fuck. And it's just like I fell down this rabbit hole and I'm just like looking at all this stuff. So the idea was like, if you don't like the way that you look, you can soft max or you can hard max. Soft maxing has to do with like things that with your everyday life you can make adjustments to improve, like shaving, grooming, style choices, haircut, these sorts of things, right? Things that are usually like accessory changes, all of these things that are very simple. And then hard maxing would usually be like getting surgery of some sort. So it'd either be a facial surgery, a like liposuction, ear fucking canthoplasty, rhinoplasty, whatever the fuck. And the idea was that if you were against this, it was usually because you were against the hard maxing stuff, because it was defeatist. It was basically telling the black pillars who only think that appearance is what matters the most, that they were basically right. That at a certain point, you have the tools given in the day-to-day life that are not effective, and so therefore you have to go see a surgeon. And that is giving credence to the ideology that people don't like doing.
Well, there's a pathological part of plastic surgery where people who think they need it don't actually need it, or you can kind of go overboard, or you can get the wrong features changed. Mm-hmm. I think you need to be very specific because a lot of beauty standard features change. There are some things that are generally true, like obviously be thin or be physically fit to a certain extent. Like you don't want to be overly physically fit because then that becomes unattractive. Mm-hmm. But you need to really put in the time. Like if you're actually going to spend, because plastic surgery is expensive. If you're going to spend $10,000, $20,000 getting something done, you better make damn sure it's the correct thing that needs to get done. And women are actually going to be attracted to that. But you just have to kind of be careful with it. I would certainly try every single, I didn't go as far as learning that terminology, soft maxing. I would try every single soft maxing technique before you go and spend the money. Mostly because I think a lot of people who are black belt don't have the kind of money to get that shit.
That's true.
But this is like a lot of them are just in their rooms and watching anime all day or something like that and not really doing stuff, which is why they can spend so much time learning all these different terminologies and like stuff like that, so they have free time. They have free time because they're not working.
What ends up happening is there's a vicious cycle that gets created where someone will be dissatisfied with the fact that they're not receiving female attention, go on dating apps, not get the female attention there, get confused because they're trying now, go on these YouTube videos that tell them that it's due to the way that they look, and then they will change, make some sort of adjustment, try again on the dating app, see no difference, and then the cycle continues. And then what ends up happening is each time you go to see what you're doing wrong, you learn something new, and then there'll be some more extreme change that you can make each time you go back and look. And so it'll usually start with like, you can shave, okay, you should do this, okay, you should start mewing, okay, what the fuck is mewing? And then you can do eye polling.
Mewing doesn't work if you are old. Mewing only works if you're under 16.
Right, but do you get where I'm going? Where it'll be some normal, like, hey, maybe wear your hair a little higher or whatever. It'll be some like, your mom could give you this advice. Then you have some like, what the fuck is mewing? My mom would never tell me to mew. And then you get to like, fucking, yeah, bone crushing. Yeah, that's another one. So fucking using a hammer on your face, bones back. So then you get down like a really deep rabbit hole. And then eventually...
That's a little extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway...
There's a lot of different like ideologies that are definitely incorrect.
Right. There's a lot of pseudoscience, yeah. And most of it, I will say, is people that are feeding into this to try to sell you like some course, usually about like, they've unlocked this esoteric method.
If
it's
anybody's
usually
selling
bullshit.
a course, immediately discount everything they say. It's probably wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, so I want to bring this back because we've identified that online dating is bullshit, and we've explained that the type of people that are being whipped while they're down from it are usually people who would have benefited from a society where people are not online dating. Because like you have to imagine a lot of people that are watching this content, like you said, they would have been fine before the internet. They would have been fine in a Wi-Fi-less society, 100%. The problem is that we aren't in that world. The world that, when that was, we're never getting that back. It's only going to get more technologized. I don't fucking know. Technological.
Right.
And I guess when you say to these people that they should just, go to a church or just go outside, get a friend group, not only do I not think it's that easy, I also think that, so let's just say that doing so would actually bring you closer to the opposite gender or something like that. I do think that there's some problems with doing that just for the exposure to women. I think that fucks up sort of the way, like the natural, I guess, way that life tends to do things. I think if you're doing like church with the intent of seeing a girl, like that doesn't really work.
I was just giving church as an example.
Yeah.
Like, it's one place where people gather.
Yeah. I also just don't even know how effective that is, right? So what would you say?
If you're around people and you socialize, eventually people are going to become attracted to other people. Now, of course, as you were saying, this is difficult. I don't give a shit if you think it's difficult. What else are you going to do? Are you just going to do a bunch of easy things your entire life? If you do that, you're just going to be fucking miserable. So, I mean, everybody like wants this like simple answer. Like there's another, anytime you find something that's super, super hard to do, you get tons of scammers on the internet telling people how to get it easier. Mm-hmm. One of those big things is languages. Languages are fucking impossible to learn. It takes a ridiculous amount of time to get good at language. And there are all these channels that will say, well, I studied I know 10 languages and I'm 18 years old and I only study 1 hour a day. All those people are fucking lying. And they'll do this thing where they pre-script the content. They'll speak in the language or whatever target language it is. And they'll always say the most basic shit like, my name is Sean, my birthday is this, and I've been studying Japanese for this amount of time and I like a fish or whatever. And that's like the shit you learn your first day. And they're like, oh right. My God, he's so fluent. He can say these things after he scripted them in a video. When the reality is, if you're going to get good at any language, you need to spend 2 or 3 hours a day, every single day studying for multiple years before you're actually good. So if you're not willing to put in this intense amount of work, you're not going to get things that are good.
Well,
if you're spending all day on the internet, watching videos about what you could be doing and then not doing anything about it,
I completely agree. I think the best one's probably the gym, because
to an extent, you don't want to get getting too strong will make you less attractive.
Well, yeah, but like you have to imagine like the gym, like, it's not about just strength. You use cardio. Like there's
well, I don't think cardio is going to really make you more attractive looking. It's mostly going to be muscle growth.
That's not true. Cardio to slim someone out, to burn calories.
If you're fat. I'm saying like, let's
not even say that you're fat. You can have a lot of muscle mass and just look large because you haven't slimmed out. Like there's like layers of fat above the muscle.
Right, but that'll slim out regardless of whatever exercise you do. Like you can't choose where you lose fat. That's a myth.
But I'm saying if you run, you will lose it.
Yeah, but you'll lose that from diet. Like you can't outrun a bad diet. You're gonna have to fix your diet before running will actually do anything.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, you should just go to the gym like, let's say that you're fit now, like you have muscle, like you should still run. Like that's my point.
Right. No, I agree. Like, I think in terms of like, I just don't think it makes you more physically attractive. I think in terms of like overall lifestyle, walking and running, like you get a treadmill, put that shit in front of the TV and start walking in front of it. That'll improve your health so much. And then, run a mile and do those things. You'll actually
running does improve your legs as well. Like you build stronger, like calves.
I mean, to an extent.
Wait,
like, it depends on what type of running you're doing, but if you're running any more than 3 minutes, you're not going to build a significant amount of size from that.
We're going to move on really quickly, but just to I guess circle back. So what you're saying is to just like go outside and meet people, and then just like do the hard work. I guess the problem is if we're talking about an adult who works a job for like 5-day work week, 8-hour work day, 9-hour work day, whatever, the amount of time after that to just spend and allocate to throwing the fishing rod in the pond and trying to see if you can catch a fish basically is probably limited and takes away from the time that you could spend developing something else or harnessing a skill or making friends. And so that's why online dating exists, because it's a very much more passive and less engaged way to meet people. You can basically just do everything else that you want to do and just have an app running. And so you would just do that. But the problem with what you're suggesting is it's so time consuming. It's not really about hard work. It's just about like, do you have the time to just go out and go to church and then, or not church, because church is like once a week, but just like go out to like some club or something with the real intention to meet like women or something.
I don't think that's what you do. I think the trick is to already have going outside built into your schedule.
Okay.
So that if you're going to go on the internet, I don't know, go to a cafe and put your computer in.
That I agree with, yeah.
Do things like that. And you'll eventually, somebody will sit near you and be like, oh, hey, what'd you get as a drink or whatever. Now shit, you got a conversation. Maybe do that like 20 times and you have one friend that you can now go
100%.
out and do things with.
Yes,
And
that
so
is
people need to
completely
be
true.
building socialization into their schedule. So it's not like a
Yes.
thing that they have to go out and do. It's that
Yes.
they're already doing it.
Yes. That is something that I remember Wheat Waffles had said. He basically was talking about EV, positive EV, where you basically have 0 if you're at home. Like EV, expected value, and he's talking about specifically about meeting women and stuff.
That's really funny. If 0 if you're at home, it's like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Or don't,
Exactly. Well,
try.
you have, yeah, like you have no EV if you're just like, let's just like use our world, for example, like making a YouTube thumbnail like on your couch. Like if you just do that at like a coffee shop or something, like not that I like would or whatever, or like, or just like, as an example, if you're like an artist or something, okay, like let's say you draw for commission, like just do that at like a coffee shop, and like the EV, like just like the RNG of life has a chance of bringing you, you know, next to someone that you think is attractive or something like that. So I completely agree. Anyway,
by the way, going to the gym is a great way to make friends too. That's
yes,
another
100%.
That's a
yeah.
non-church activity that where you're genuinely going there and
That's another thing is like you don't just meet women, you meet friends as well. So yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Okay, now I wanted to move on from that to the male loneliness epidemic, because I keep hearing about this, and I definitely, I mean, like, we know it's real, and just like forget about like online dating and stuff like that. Like we know that it's bad, but the epidemic of male loneliness, I think a lot of it has to do with the, I guess, incentives to stay inside versus the incentives to go outside, and I think there's not enough positive incentives to just like leave your house, to be honest with you. Like the convenience has made it so that you can literally, and I know this because bro, I'll have like they almost feel like benders, like they almost feel like drug benders, where I'll wake up, go to my desk, do my work, and then I'll order DoorDash, play video games, go to sleep. That is just like the most unfulfilling way to live my life. And so that's why I call them benders, because I feel as guilty doing something like that than I would if I was like on drugs or something. And so after that, I'm like, wow, that was crazy. I can't live like that. And then I'll spend some time, you know, just doing outdoor stuff. And
that's definitely the YouTuber lifestyle. You have to, like, not using DoorDash is so hard as a YouTuber.
It's so hard.
You have to delete it off your phone, because it's like, well, yeah, if I take 10 minutes to go to the store or whatever, it depends on how far. Like I live far from the store, so it's actually a little bit more of an inconvenience than maybe most people, or a convenience than most people to use DoorDash. But like I could work on this video for 10 more minutes or 20 more minutes or an hour in my case. But I don't know if that's generally a problem that other people are having. We just work inside all day. Maybe people who have inside jobs, but
I was immediately thinking of people who have inside jobs, right? People who are going to be like consultant or like whatever weird email job, just doing. I mean, like, you have to imagine there's so much. I mean, like I don't want to name names, but we have a mutual friend who works for Sony, and like that person is like, you know, like he's just inside perma.
Oh no, he's doing so much better since because he didn't know how to drive.
Really?
And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Why don't you can't just not know how to drive? I don't know what is with people who don't know how to drive these days. And so strangely enough, he was able to get his license not knowing how to drive. This is the craziest shit ever.
That is insane.
Because he got his license, and then I was like, and so I go out to California, and then we hang out. I was like, all right. He's like, well, I didn't sleep last night. I was like, okay, well, you're driving because I'm tired of you complaining about not going outside because you don't know how to drive. And we drive around his neighborhood, and like he acts like it's his first day he's ever driven before. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like how did you pass the test? Basically, I was there for a couple days back in April, and forced him to drive a shitload during that time. And he's been driving a lot since, and now he's going outside. He's like, dude, my entire life has fucking changed. I don't work from home as much anymore. I go into the office. I've actually made friends and met people. I go out to the Starbucks or the cafe, and I sit down and do stuff, and I meet people that way. Like, you just go outside.
Well, Sony's a huge company, so they'll have offices. But I guess I'm more so, and that is good. But I'm more so talking about people who they just work from home, just based on like either they're self-employed or like a contractor where they just need to be like on call.
If you're self-employed, you probably have enough wherewithal to go out and do things that are difficult.
I agree, but I that's a good point actually. But you'd be surprised how many people are like crypto millionaires who are the most like socially inept people you can imagine, right? Like they're people who just like trade all day.
Or they're crypto millionaires.
Well, okay. Well, anyway, but
then just pay for your friends. I don't know, but you're gonna have very shallow friendships if you do that.
But the male loneliness epidemic, like I remember there was something that I think like 10 years ago, this was this thought experiment that manifested as like a real life trial where this person, I think you'd cover this, someone who dressed up as like a man for like 2 months, and she like realized she became like a men's rights activist. She was like a radical feminist, and then tried to live life as a man, like just as like a test. Realized it was very hard, then became a men's rights activist. Do you remember this? Who is this person? I think you covered this.
I forget her name, but she offed herself. So it's.
Are you serious?
She ended her own life a couple years ago.
Jesus. Okay.
I remember I might be able to get because I remember what video I covered it in.
Editor, cut that part out, but No, I'm serious, because YouTube will give me that like fucking warning before the video plays. But anyway, okay, well that's terrible.
I mean, if you say certain things, if you say it a certain way, they won't. Because I get away with saying stuff like that in videos a lot.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, but anyway, I mean, that just kind of goes to prove the point where, I mean, this is a talking point that I've heard, and I do think it's true, where the respect or attention that you get as a man is earned, whereas women, it's sort of innate, where it'll usually be because of like your attractiveness, your femininity, your beauty, the outward physical play that you have toward the world, whereas men, it's usually because of something you built or something that you've done for the world or something like that, right?
Well, also, talk to women and ask them how to pick up women. They have no idea. It's not really their job to do that.
That's
if
true.
You're gonna get a woman trying to do that. She's gonna be like, "What the fuck do I do?" So there's a I don't think this person spent any time trying to learn how to attract women. I think most of her dating was online, was through like OkCupid and online dating.
Yeah.
So Nora Vincent is her name, by the way.
Okay, gotcha.
From 2006, a long time ago. This is 20 years ago.
Do you think that the male loneliness epidemic, do you think that it's men's faults for not going outside and then allowing themselves to succumb to technology addiction? Or do you think that it's women's faults for being largely, how do I say this nicely, bitchy and like changed by Instagram, and they do be charging their phones and hot chips?
Blaming the opposite sex is probably not the best way to go about it, because if you come into a relationship like that, you're going to be very, very standoffish. You're not going to
Right. Well, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Obviously, I assume it's definitely a mix of both. Where
the societal conditions, I think a big part of the connection, like I said, porn, I think is a huge factor in that. Not to say that it's going to go away, but like if you have an addiction to it, probably just maybe learn how to fix that or spend some time on it. Also, because like there are plenty of people like they'll get into a relationship and they won't even be able to do anything.
Right.
Or they'll have these incredibly strange fetishes that no real person could ever do, and so
That's
it's like
true.
like
Yeah.
you can't even have a relationship now.
I think
So there's that factor, but there's also the societal factor. If you're saying like, okay, well, people don't have time, yeah, that's true because the economy sucks right now. But I don't know how to necessarily get the average person to fix that. Certainly, we can kind of do meta things to fix the
That's
economy.
a great point.
You can really destroy relationships by making it too expensive to live.
Oh, 100%.
What'll happen is like, let's say like some chick is in a bad relationship with some abusive guy. What you would do back in the past is move the fuck out, but she can't move out because rent's $2,000 a month and she can't afford that.
Yeah.
So she stays in the relationship. Oh, eventually they have kids. Now they're abusing the kids, and if things are expensive enough, that will happen to a shitload of people. So
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
But that's not something the average person can control. You just kind of have to accept that this is how society is right now. And so to get ahead on that, you need to spend a lot of time fucking planning and making sure that you make enough money to have free time. And that goes through getting extremely quick at doing whatever your job is, and also becoming extremely valuable so that you never get fired, or people, if you do get fired, you can always get hired somewhere else. Or picking a skill that makes a lot of money, and not just picking like, oh, well, I'm sort of interested in this. There's a lot of things that you're going to be interested in. Pick one that makes a lot of money.
That's correct. Yeah, I completely agree. I do think that the money has a lot to do with it, but I do think that as well, a lot of the nature of being a man is being prone to addiction. Like you talk about porn addiction, I think that's definitely a part of it. But if you just look at general like drug addiction, I think one of the biggest things is if you talk about the male loneliness epidemic, I do think part of it that is like chosen by men themselves has to do with escapism. And you look at, not to sound boomerist, but like a lot of people who just like have antisocial hobbies, well, not that gaming is antisocial. I shouldn't say that. Gaming is fairly social, to be honest. I mean, every time I play games, I'm usually talking with someone on Discord. But escapism, whether it would be like through, because I do feel like, like look at the rate of like drug use. It hasn't really gone down, has it?
I haven't checked. I mean, there are definitely a lot more things to be addicted to these days. Like there are a lot of things going wrong. And I think, I don't know really how to answer this on a societal level other than just like, don't be the person that's affected by it. Like, sure, the dating market sucks right now. Just don't be super valuable and meet a lot of people, and then it won't be a problem. And then if a lot of people start doing that, then it gets fixed. But I don't think you can sit here and wait for the world to change to fix your own life. You just gotta, deal with what you have.
Gen Z is widely considered to be more escapist than previous definitions, and there is solid data to back it up. Here's some key reasons why. So digital natives / digital escapes. So we said 58% of Gen Z spend more than 4 hours a day on social media. Let's see. High anxiety. According to the APA, Gen Z reports the highest stress levels of any generation, with 91% saying they've experienced at least one physical or emotional symptom due to stress. Escapism is a coping mechanism, scrolling, gaming, or fantasizing to avoid confronting real-life stressors like climate change, job insecurity, or political instability. Okay, well, or just your own life. Let's see.
Yeah. I think another part of that, touch on too much in videos, is anxiety. A lot of people have anxiety, especially if you don't go out. You probably are going to create some sort of anxiety around having to say hi to somebody or do things that were, previously considered very socially normal. And
Yeah.
if that's your issue, if that's why you're not doing things, then meditation is very, very good for learning how to get over that. And not just like, sitting in a corner and staring at the wall for an hour. What you need to do with meditation is like, you're going to have some sort of reaction mentally. You need to learn how to turn off that reaction. So if you do something and you have anxiety around it, you need to learn how to get rid of that so you can actually act and do things that you need to do. Learn how to not think about it. That's what meditation is useful for, is learning how to not think about things that are undesirable. But you were saying.
No, I agree with you. I mean, like the reality is that like one thing I've realized about being an adult is, and this is kind of sad and this is sort of off topic, but being like a good person, and this isn't necessarily going to say like, I don't think trying new things makes you a good person, but I guess when you're young, things that are like very young, like in middle school, things that are pushed to you as important are trying new things, kindness, respect, learning, growth. Things that once you get older, you realize from a living perspective and like thriving kind of don't matter. I'm gonna be honest. I had this moment I was taking a shit and I was like, is all that matters just making money? Like, because you think about it, at the end of the day, what affects my life the most and the experiences that I endure day to day are almost all based on what I'm willing to spend. If I want to enjoy a nice meal and feel good about myself, I gotta spend money. If I want to, and then we can just go down the list, it all comes back to money. And I just feel like, and it made me a little sad because I remember, when I was like in middle school or sorry, elementary school in like 4th grade, it just felt like it was all about treating people nicely and kindly and, helping people out, doing things for the class and, learning. And it's just like, you got to imagine, it's kind of fucked that like the older, and this might sound like I'm a socialist, I'm not, but the older I've got, I've realized that the way you're looked at by society at large is what you bring to the table in terms of like money. Like that's it. It's like you in elementary school, you could have been friends with Elon Musk, right? But it's like you ended up a janitor and Elon Musk ended up the founder and CEO of Tesla, right? And so it's like, it doesn't matter how kind you are as a janitor or how loving you are. It's just like, you're not Elon Musk. You're a janitor. And that's fucked to me.
It's not money, it's power or influence. And so there are many ways to get that. One way you can get it is obviously money. You can get it through being physically strong. You can get it through having good social skills. Ideally, you should have all these things. If you're trying to, we're on YouTube. We're trying to max everything because obviously part of the game is becoming as popular as you can be, because what else are you going to do? If you've made it on YouTube, if you don't like continue to have that hunger, you get very, very bored and depressed. So you just kind of keep moving and moving and moving. Yeah, certainly money is important, but if you're looking for meaning, learning new skills and learning new hobbies is important, and then building social groups and friends.
Of course.
It's not just money, it's those things as well. And the more of that, what you describe is like the childlike mindset. Those are the mindsets of how you grow. And we preach that to children because they need to grow really as fast as possible. But obviously, when you become an adult, you kind of like feel like you're maxed out, and then people stop, and then they don't improve their lives.
Yeah.
So, learning new skills and kind of changing your self identity every so often, like you would do when you're younger, is extremely important. Especially if you feel like, or if you don't have enough in terms like you're like objectively, like you're only making $20,000 a year, you can't live anywhere decent or anywhere that you would desire to live because you don't make enough. Like certainly, having that childlike mindset, learning new things and trying new stuff or trying new social personalities is really helpful for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something where I heard someone say this. It's like the stuff that you learn as a kid, like the most infantile teaching you can imagine, is so applicable to your adult life. It's not even funny.
Yeah. You need to kind of refresh that every couple of years. You'll forget it about
you really do. You really do. And I heard Sam Hyde say this, and I think this is also really true, that if you wouldn't let a 5 or 7-year-old do it, you shouldn't do it either. Like if you wouldn't let a 5 or 7-year-old stay up past 12 a.m., you shouldn't do it. If you wouldn't,
that's true, but hard to do.
Yeah, and obviously, with some exceptions, but it's like you're
drinking or smoking.
It's like you're door dashing every fucking meal. You're sleeping in late. You're staying up late. You're jerking off all the time. You're eating like shit. You're not working out. You're not running. You're not getting outside. You're living like a fucking pig. You would never let a child or someone you care about do this to themselves. So why are you doing it to yourself? It's masochism. And it needs to be stopped. And anyway, just to tie it all back to the male loneliness of it, I do think that a lot of it has to do with like going back to the basics, tapping into what you were taught as a child. And I think really learning, because the reason that elementary school teachers, the reason why I think you view them so fondly, for most people, people. I think it's hard to think of like an elementary school teacher that people had that they don't view fondly. I think that's crazy. Like I think about my kindergarten, second grade teachers. They were all just like, you know, they positively impacted my life because they give you the tools, the very basic instructions, the very basic guide to growing as a young person, you know, ask questions. Remember when it was like, there's no such thing as a bad question? You have to be curious always. As an adult, if you're not curious, you're fucked. You're going to be static. Remember the growth mindset, fixed mindset stuff? I don't remember if this was taught when you were younger, but this whole idea of just always asking questions, you know, remaining curious and inquisitive and all of these things, they really do matter. And I think in order to partially fix the male loneliness epidemic, I think men really need to look at the very basic things that they learn in life and then apply them to their adult life, right? Like, why do you think you had extracurriculars? Why do you think you had soccer practice? These are things that were meant to socialize you, to get you outside, to get you vitamin D, to help you. And these are things that you need to eventually start doing for yourself, you know? And that's just the way that I think. I think a lot of it has to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy to kind of, especially as a content creator, it's so difficult as a self-employed small business owner where you're your own boss to kind of keep good behaviors like a bedtime, or like not only that, but you're making more money than most people, so you can afford every single vice that you could ever possibly want. And so learning how to stay away from that can really improve you. But staying on like a regular sleep is probably the most important thing. Staying on like a regular sleep schedule. For me, holy shit, like I had huge problems with allergies, and to where I could only work like half the fucking day. It was super hard to control my diet. It was hard to get to sleep on time. I fixed the allergies and everything changed. All I had to do was put an air filter in and make sure that air wasn't leaking in through my door. And so there
that's how we fix the male loneliness epidemic, guys.
Is get rid of the get rid of the allergies. They affect you a lot more than you think.
That is true, though. I mean, I don't. Sorry to interrupt you, but you're 100% right about just like the inputs, like what you're putting in your body, what you're breathing. You know, whether that would be bad air, vape, fast food, like just making sure your inputs are good. Think about it like I mean, listen, like your inputs, don't just view it as food, okay? Like as what you're eating. It's like also what you're seeing. What you're stimulating yourself with in any sort of sensory way will affect you, and make sure it's good. It cannot be crap. It really can't be crap.
Well, even stupid things like people, especially as you get older, you're kind of like, I've already listened to all the music I'll ever listen to. I've watched all the movies I'll ever watch.
You got to stay curious.
And you just kind of like, oh, let me just watch this thing I've seen 100 times as opposed to watching a new thing. I think the times where I've been the least efficient and the least effective or the most disordered in my behavior is times where I was not watching new material or playing new video games or listening to different music and kind of getting stuck into things I'm used to doing.
Yes.
And I think probably the easiest way to fix the male loneliness epidemic is to listen to new shit and also clean your room or clean your house or clean your apartment or whatever you have.
True.
That puts you in a mindset of change.
It's your inputs. It's what you're seeing. If you're seeing garbage, you feel like garbage. If you're eating garbage, you feel like garbage. If your sleep is garbage, you feel like garbage.
And also, like, decorating is a big thing too. Trying to improve the space you live, decorating with art and things that kind of inspire you really helps. It's kind of uncanny how useful that is.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, nice. I think that's great. I think that's good. Okay, and then also friends as well. Making sure you're surrounding yourself with not losers. You have to have good friends. You have to have smart, ambitious friends, or else you're gonna end up a fucking loser. I think that as well. You can only be as good as your 5 friends or something like that. I think you guys know the quote. I think that's completely true. Okay.
Yeah, you'll become more like the people that you're around constantly.
100%.
For good or worse.
Let's talk about politics. Let's get a little controversial. So, what is going on right now with like this radical left ideology of pushing people to believe things that ignores their eyes and ears? Why am I going to ever believe that a man should compete in women's sports? Why is that something that we're even talking about? Why is that something that someone just rolled their eyes while they're watching this because they've heard someone talk about this a billion times? Why? Why is this the thing? It's not winning. It's not a winning political argument. Gavin Newsom was on Charlie Kirk's podcast and he had to say, yeah, I don't think it's a fair thing that these guys are beating female swimmers. Why are we even I feel like a fucking numbskull even asking the question, because this is something where it's been like almost like fucking half a decade of biological male. Like, brother, just say male. I'm tired of biological male in women's sports, but it's biological. Stop saying biological, just say male. Like, I feel like by even adding that qualifier, you're ceding ground to these people and their inverted worldview, because it's like you're giving a credence to the idea that there could be something besides a male that's biological. It's like yeah, you know what I'm saying?
The great thing about that is that
that's a lake with water in it. It's like, okay, opposed to what? Diet Coke?
Will promote delusion, because people who are delusional are very easy to control, and even better, they are very prone to violence. So you'll kind of notice that people who believe all these narratives kind of have these cult-like mentalities municipalities, and then they'll start burning shit down or punching people, or punch a Nazi and shit like that.
Mhm.
So I think there's always going to be like people pushing towards worse mental health, because it's a very easy way to stay in power if we're talking about politics. And certainly if we're talking about like how these kind of things intertwine, like with male loneliness and people kind of picking the easiest path and letting their disordered behaviors kind of get control of them, that's what leads you into cult-like mentality, is
Right.
not being willing to put in. It's one of the easiest ways to develop a cult, is you find something that's really, really hard to do, tell people you can give it to them for easy, and they'll join your cult. You'll find people who are mentally disabled or mentally unwell who will join you.
May as well be disabled. You may as well have a little Freudian slip there.
It's what's literally all the like, if you look into like cult texts, that's how they work.
Right. I think the problem is that when you voice this as part of something that you're running on, right, or this is a part of your movement at large, the women identity or the male identity, they're interchangeable, they're fluid, they're sort of, you can change them as you please to whatever is catered to your own comfort. When Trump is able to get up on the debate stage and say, we're going to do two genders and that's it. Legally, you're going to have a driver's license that has your gender assigned at birth, and that's it, okay? Him being able to do that, him being able to say that to an audience of people is beneficial. Him being able to market this thing as just like something that even needs to be, you're selling fucking, water in a desert. It's the easiest thing to campaign on, that men are men and women are women. And they're allowing him to get that. They're giving him these talking points. Hey Donald, here's your winning talking point. Here's your obvious thing that you can say that people will agree with. Why?
Well, yeah, because the people who put all the work into society are pissed at all the degenerates who are stealing everything. This, like I said, these things are intertwined, where it's not a coincidence. All the socialists are like the laziest people, or they're on the welfare flunkies, or don't do that much. Like that video that you saw the video that I did on that purple haired chick named Raven, who was like a
I gave you that video. What do you mean?
Yeah. Right. You gave me two really well performing videos, actually. This is my two best performing videos out of the past month, I believe.
Yeah,
so thanks for that.
I'm here when you need me.
I'm just gonna steal all the Acheeto ideas, apparently. Like, you look at her lifestyle, she doesn't work, and she's like, oh, I'm disabled. It's like, you're not fucking disabled. I can see you. You can pick up a 100-pound person, you can walk, you can paint shit. Go get a fucking job. It's not a coincidence that this super lazy person is also extremely radical, because that's the only choice she has to get the things she wants, because she's too lazy to do any work. So what you can do is you can prey on those people's delusion. You can say, well, these things should be this way. You're 15 different genders, you're this, and therefore you should get some sort of welfare or some sort of benefit because you need a leg up. Because, well, yeah, you're oppressed because you're a man trapped in a woman's body, or a woman trapped in a man's body. And you need to, like, therefore you should get all these different privileges. It's not a coincidence that these are all designed with, oh, you have this mental disorder A, we should get privilege B, or whatever. Okay. These things are intentional.
What I'm trying to understand is that there are certain, like, I think politics and the sloganism of politics is ultimately what people take away from it. I don't think people look into policy and then vote on the intricate policy. I do think a lot of people who are just average, I mean, there's 360 million Americans. These people are not looking at the policy and the clauses and how things are delineated.
No,
they're listening to the slogans and they're like, I like the way that sounds. Yeah. Why would you ever, as a liberal candidate, give Trump the ability to say men can't compete in women's sports? That's the most obvious shit. That's like giving Trump the ability to say that under my administration, we will not allow people to marry animals. Why would you ever allow him to say something so fucking easily compelling? Because I don't understand.
They don't have a choice.
Why?
Why? They got, because all the people who produce the money and all the work in society are pissed off. Like, that purple haired chick Raven with the nose ring can say whatever she wants about how she believes, but nobody gives a shit about her beliefs because she doesn't work. She doesn't have any power.
Okay, but
she only has the power by abusing people.
Okay,
and once the people who are being abused get pissed off, she doesn't have anything.
What do you think the most successful, like, liberal sloganism is that's worked for campaigning? Because I have mine, but what do you think yours is? For me,
I mean, probably something around medical care, because medical care is very overpriced and very expensive.
Okay, I was gonna say my body, my choice. I think it's like such an effective slogan.
Like a slogan, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that one is just probably the biggest winner, because it's just like, it makes the most sense, right? Because like that as a slogan is like, my body, okay, my choice, oh, okay. Like, it was so good that Republicans reclaimed it to talk about vaccines, So
yeah.
Anyway,
the people who think tank this stuff are great. They have like people sitting in a room like, what can we think of? I mean, this is like how we think of YouTube titles. We do the same shit, where it's like, how can I have a very simplified line of text that means 10 different things that people can interpret that they'll all want to watch.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I completely agree. Okay. So let's talk about, I don't know. I mean, there's so much stuff here. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about? Like anything that you've been feeling particularly passionate about lately?
I feel like on that, I'm just gonna make the next video on it. The last couple of videos have been like, I cannot wait to get them out. The next video might be very similar to what we're already talking about.
Let's think about.
Even though
Well, let's just do one more topic, and then you can go and do what you want to do.
man, on that Wizard Liz video, I had to cut so much of her fucking speaking. She rambles like crazy. I don't know if you saw that one.
I watched it on stream.
There's a lot of people who are just like, God, I can see why certain people are not popular. That was a hard video because as I was uploading it, some more drama came out, and like Liz got cheated on by this YouTuber who goes by Landon MC. I think.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. I already talked. Everyone's seen it. Everyone in the stream, we watched on stream. Everyone knows.
Well, I don't know. People watching the VOD might not have seen it, but like Landon's ex-girlfriend starts crashing out on the internet and starts saying like he stalked me too. There's some great drama. I was like, no. So I'm just gonna upload it. Fuck it.
Is Gen Z the first generation that is screwed no matter how hard they work?
No, that's Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha's fucked.
Yeah. Are you're Gen Z? No, you're a millennial?
I'm millennial.
Ooh.
I'm super millennial. Millennial was the first generation to get fucked.
That's
Generation X got it a little bit with the 2008 crash.
Okay, so in what way are Gen Zers, your Unc alert by the way, your Unc. I feel like Gen Z, we are cursed with the verticality of life, moving as we're working. Making
verticality
things
is definitely not a word.
Yes, it is. Verticality?
Oh, that's bullshit. I'm looking
It's
that up.
absolutely a word. That when vertical, like, is it up? I'm talking about like look at
AI says is a word. Someone passes SAT test then.
verticality. Yeah, the verticality of life, meaning like what you want to get to because it's higher up, is always changing. It's becoming farther away. And I feel like what we look like, and I know this is true because I know I have friends who are CS majors and they're fucked. Like literally from the time that they started learning development and like full stack and all this stuff, like it's AI has become infinitely more applicable to this stuff. And so they're fucked. They're fucked. They don't deserve it. They worked hard. And it's not fair. It's not fair. And what's up?
No, it's not fair, but too bad. Nobody cares.
Yeah, well, I mean, I care. I think you should care. I care deeply. I care deeply about my...
They're gonna take the AI product. I'm saying, like, you can talk about what people can do as a society, but ultimately, like, just keep yourself safe. And if you keep doing that, you'll be fine. But as AI gets smarter and smarter, Gen Alpha is gonna have some problems,
right?
Especially.
My point is let's not just talk about like the career path, okay, and the lie of college guaranteeing a secure job, which is a fucking lie.
People need to stop going to college. You should only go to college if you're gonna become a doctor or some sort of thing that requires.
I agree. For doctor or lawyer.
You can get a job in computer science without going to college. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes school is the worst fucking learning environment you can ever go into.
I agree. But I mean, I do. Yeah. I mean, obviously, like we talked about this IRL, like the reason you go is like for college experience and like whatever bullshit, right? Which is like kind of fake to be honest, but
you can learn way faster on your own. If you're going to be any sort of effective at any career, you have to learn on your own anyway.
Right.
I think probably the best example of a waste of time in college is language learning. Not only is it less effective to learn in college, you will actually absorb all of the bad verbal habits of all of your classmates, and you'll become worse at the language by learning in a college group.
Right. But the problem is that it's not just college being a false promise. It's the idea of the finish line always moving backward. We are running as fast as we can to the finish line. The finish line being stable job, home, family.
Yeah,
Three
that's
things.
what I talked about before. It's called creative destruction.
Right.
And it's going to happen. And it's going to happen no matter what, because if we don't invent the AI technology, some other country's going to.
Okay.
So we're about to have a very, very significant change in the next 20 years or so. I think what you should be doing is paying attention to ChatGPT and Google and shit like that, finding out what AI is terrible at, and that's what you train for. Currently, AI is very, very terrible at thinking. I don't know if they will figure this out. If they do figure it out, it's going to take a very long time. But if you're practicing your CG art skills, quit. AI is going to take over that shit. But because you can ask AI, like I have the Alexa thing, and I'll say like, Alexa, turn on a random light, and it has no idea what the fuck to do. Now, if I tell it to turn on one of the lights, I told it to turn it, like I've ordered it to like my kitchen lights or my bathroom lights, it'll do that. But if I say like change bathroom light to a random color, it has no idea what the fuck to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certainly things that AI is terrible at, but as it gets better and better at those things, like I don't know, but also things will get cheaper. I think more importantly, people are going to realize that their job and their career, as much as they don't like it that much, they're going to find that it's very, very much tied to their mental health. And I think we're going to have a huge mental health crisis as AI takes over more jobs.
My
But
fear is that
that's a
within
while
the
from now.
next 2 decades, we'll end up recreating Wall-E, and there will be a government floating white pod that you sit in all day while you're hooked up IV being delivered non-lethal doses of Fent, while humanoid, android, black, lesbian stormtroopers are harvesting minerals on Mars, which is the only thing growing the GDP as we float around in our little pods all day.
I don't know if we need to go as far as Mars. Like we can just mine. Like people don't have a appreciation for how deep the Earth is, and we can only go like a mile down right now. Like there's like basically infinite resources inside of our own planet.
Right.
Unless there's like rarer things that are harder to get. I think that might be used for asteroid mining, but asteroid mining and mining on a different planet would be so prohibitively expensive that it's just not feasible.
I think our world economy will have, I don't know, but
that's when you create the Matrix and make things hard again by just making everything a video game.
Are we in a recession? Is Gen Z fucked? How bad is it? How fucked is Gen Z?
I don't really care if they're fucked, because if you plan out your life well, you won't be screwed. You need to pay attention.
That's not true at all. You're so fucking wrong on that. You're so wrong. You're so wrong. It's unbelievable.
Work a manual labor job. Become an electrician. You'll be fine.
You literally are. You understand what you just said is what every kid was told when they got into CS. Just plan it out. Oh, okay. I'm going to be a CS major. I'm going to learn how to code. And they learn how to code, and then AI took their job. They fucking planned, and okay,
learning, like I said, keep that childlike mentality where you're going to learn new things, and you won't.
Right, but the idea, what you're saying is that if you plan, you'll be fine is not true.
AI's language models are terrible. So the only thing that's happening currently, in my understanding, is that all the shitty coders are getting thrown out. So if you're a really, really good coder, you're still fine for at least a while. And
good coder, Indian.
If an Indian's beating you, then you need to practice more. If those H-1B visas are out or can program better than you, practice a lot more. And I think you'll find, as I've known, plenty of people who code, like a lot of them just sit on their ass and do nothing. I'm not saying that's every coder, but a lot of them get away with really, really high paying jobs without doing that much. If that's your job, then you are going to get fired at some point. So get really good so people can't fire you.
Yeah,
now,
I guess
because like in turn, like there's some sort of social skill inside of coding. And as long as that's true, AI is going to have a very hard time figuring that out 100%. There's still going to be things that people will have to fix. Even things like language translation, like in terms of like, at least with Japanese, because Japanese is a very, very implied language in terms of like what people are talking about. So Google has a horrible time figuring out what the correct translation should be. So and that's going to be a problem. It's probably the most difficult problem for AI to solve. So if you can just get good at those things, at least for now, you'll be fine. But if you're going to go into coding, you need to keep a very open mind with what your career path is and be very, very careful with your money.
Okay, well, I think that regardless of how careful you are, there are going to be things out of your control that will make it harder for you to maintain a steady income eventually.
Right. And but that's a problem in the future. Don't think about that.
Okay,
I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but that's not right now. And again, keep your habits as good as possible. Keep things going. But I also think that with creative distraction, people are going to find the more human side. They're going to find a way to make things cheaper, or find a way to make the average person live. Because if they don't do that, people will start rioting.
Do you think that any AI should be outlawed?
No.
None?
No, because no matter what'll happen is that somebody else where it's not outlawed, they'll just do it. China will do it. Russia will do it. Some third world country will do it.
Like AI porn of people who didn't consent? Like, you think that should just be like allowed?
Yeah, I think that should be outlawed, but I don't think that's going to be realistic in the future.
I do think that there doesn't be regulation around it though. Because I see on Twitter,
AI will be so centralized that people will just have their own private AIs and they'll make the porn that way.
That's true. I did just see that, like, people on Twitter, like, they're using Grok, and it'll be like some girl who posts a selfie, and the guy in the replies will be like, at Grok, like, add yogurt all over her face or something. It's just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you need to be editor, keep that in.
I blocked the more degenerate parts of Twitter, so I don't see shit like that.
Yeah, no, it's so bad. But
every post is people adding Grok. It's so annoying. I wish they would just get rid of it.
How does a Gen Zer make money, you think? I honestly think the best bet is to just, like, this is not even a joke, like trades.
Trades, yeah. That's the only thing that's going to be expensive for AI to do. So, like, if you're doing any sort of, like, intellectual job, you better be the fucking best at it, because anybody who's mediocre is losing their job. Even with YouTube, AI can't do what I do on YouTube currently, but it can replace a lot of people who are shitty at their job. Like, you know, alpha male podcasts who never fucking innovate. AI can copy the fuck out of that. It can do some stupid street interview where it's like, what do you think a man should make, and how give me say ridiculous thing. What do you weigh? Like, they can do AI can do all that shit. So as long as AI can just copy your content, there's just gonna be a ton of videos like that. If you can't create the new meta, then don't be in this job. Like,
Gotcha.
it's gonna get very, very difficult for intellectual jobs. Pick a physical labor job because yeah, I can't copy it. It's gonna be like that South Park episode where like the billionaires are like the guy who fixes your toilet.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'll watch that episode. Okay, cool. Okay, if you want to end there, we can. I did want to talk a little bit about like the YouTube and streaming landscape if you wanted to, but if you gotta go, then we'll just end it here. Well, I've just noticed there's been such a big, and you've been getting your flowers from Tectone and Asmongold. They've been reacting to your stuff, but I do think that there's been a shift. Like, I've been on the internet for a long ass time. Like, I started watching YouTube in like 2013 or 14. My first YouTuber that I watched was like Tobuscus, and I remember like I was like 13. I watched like Leafy, and then like I watched YouTube change, and then PewDiePie kind of blew up again in like 2018, and then, you know, all this stuff. So I have a pretty like long memory of like what's been popular and stuff, and it feels like we're in a pretty cool new spot that I haven't really seen before, because it seems like, you know, there'll be eras in the YouTube landscape or the content landscape where old becomes new again. And I feel like we're in a period where it's just like new becomes new. Like I like this new thing where a lot of the content that I'm watching is like streamers and stuff. And people like, for the longest time I thought that like if you watch streamers you're a fucking loser, and maybe that's partially true. I'll kick it and I'll watch some streamers. I'll watch Asmongold, I'll watch Tectone, and it feels like these like this wave of streaming just being king, and this new content, it feels so new to me, and I think it's like kind of cool. It feels like
it's a new meta.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
For me personally, I probably have a different experience of this as a YouTuber because these particular streamers are reacting to my content, and so I actually enjoy that quite a bit.
Me too.
Because from a creator's perspective, it is very useful to have someone on a face cam watching your video and seeing how they experience it, and seeing which parts of the video they respond to and which parts they don't. Because at some point, that person is going to represent a part of your audience, and so I know how, like, whatever Tectone's crossover is, or whatever Asmongold's, or whatever your crossover is, that's probably how most of your audience is going to perceive my video. So now I know how to frame things and discuss things, or what things they're going to laugh at, or what things they're going to like about the video.
Yeah, and I think that as a creator, you're able to get like good feedback for these sorts of things that you can end up putting like different stuff. I think one of your next videos you should add like add some like meta joke, because you know that Asmongold or Tectone's gonna watch it, so you should be like, and now for the part, like, you know, just like some like break the fourth wall thing.
If I'm gonna do that, I like to do it in very, very subtle ways. So that if you're not paying attention,
like this is the part where you pause the video and you say like, just do some shit like that. Be
like
cute, be cutesy.
There's that casually explained video. He makes a video about Hassan, and he's like, Hassan pauses the video and reacts, and then he unpauses it and he's like, well, now that Hassan's done pausing the video, and so he did some like, that was funny. But if I'm gonna do a joke, like I like to do like the jokes that kind of fly under the radar, but people who are paying attention will really think they're funny. And so one of those jokes was like you might have gotten this, the Noah Samson video where there's that Sam Hyde thing where he does a song where he says Jews rock, but it wasn't supposed to be Jews rock. It was supposed to be something else. And I play that clip and I say, oh shit, that was, I'm trying to describe what Noah Samson was saying in the video, basically saying Jews bad. Yeah, and so I played the Jews rock clip, and then I play, oh shit, sorry, that was the wrong clip. But if you pay attention, it's not the wrong clip. It was correct. It was an anti-Semitic clip.
Yeah.
So,
no, I get it. Yeah, for sure.
So some people got that. If you didn't get it, you probably thought the surface joke was funny. It was like, oh, he fucked up. So I like doing things like that, or like randomly saying, you know, with the last video with the Wizard Liz, where Landon was like, doing the Pokemon thing. Is like, why didn't he look at this Pokemon cringe that he was doing? So don't women like do this? They like to kind of like investigate who they're dating because they want to make sure they're not dating some crazy stalker. And that was the lead into Landon actually being a stalker.
Yeah.
If you were paying attention.
Yeah. With streaming being so meta, because I honestly, I think streaming, this is tunnel vision of me to say, I feel like it's bigger than short form content right now in terms of popularity, because all the short form is of the streams. Like I feel like all my TikTok and Instagram, I don't use TikTok, like YouTube shorts and whatever, it all seems to be stream clips from people. Why do you think streaming is so popular now? And then what are the pros and cons of it being so popular? And I can hear you. I just talk to the chat.
So as far as short form content, I watch short form content sometimes, especially if it's like where to go. Like if I'm going to like Japan or trying to figure out where to go in my own community, like short form content's really great for that. But I don't really think it has like a lot of staying power. But in terms of the streamers, I think they're becoming more popular now because they're saying things that are more realistic. They're saying things. Part of being a creator is trying to accurately reflect the view of your audience. And people like Asmongold are becoming very popular right now because he's very, very good at doing that. And he's good at doing it in a way that is very much, I would guess, socially acceptable. So it's like you would have to be a very, very unreasonable person to not agree with this. You basically have to be Hassan to not agree with an Asmongold take most of the time. Outside of that stuff he said about we got in trouble, he got canceled for saying about people in Palestine or whatever. But outside of that, he's very, very good at doing that. As far as the rest of the streaming meta, I don't know. People just have more time inside. I guess it may be the parasocial part of it, which is not the healthiest thing. You know, if you want to go back to the black pill stuff, I think that's another part of the problem. Usually when something's going wrong, there's 10 different things that are making it wrong. And that's why it's going really, really wrong. So part of it could be porn addiction. The other part of it could be people are replacing their friendships with parasocial relationships with streamers who, you know, maybe a fun time to sort of like fake hang out with. But you got to remember that these people aren't really your friends. They're just entertainers. And the problem for me is a little bit difficult to talk about this too much because the only streamers I watch are streamers that I cover for videos like Hassan or Asmongold clips. Dude, he must be taking a shit or something like that. He's taking forever in this bathroom break. Acheeto, well, yeah, he's I'm watching a full ass Hassan stream right now. He's got the chair backwards though, so it's not fully a true Hassan stream where he's not eating while people are talking. He is definitely taking his time washing his hands. Acheeto, you should have asked a much more difficult question to answer. That way I could fill the time space. Then he adjusts the cam. Editor, cut this out.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think a lot of it is like parasocial, but I mean, I think it's just mostly just like engaging and stuff. Like, why is streaming popular? It's just engaging. It's like people like talking and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, another thing, another aspect forgot to get into is that people are working their jobs and they listen to streamers in the background. It's like people used to listen to radio.
That's true. Yeah, it's like second monitor content.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe that's why a lot of the coders are about to lose. They're watching Asmongold when they should be coding that PlayStation game or that Nintendo game. Yeah, Nintendo's getting fucked right now. They have. There's never been a worse time to have a Nintendo's reputation. They released an entire console with one fucking game that was a remake of a game they made 300 times in the past 20 years.
And that's cool.
And they're like, yeah, we're gonna also charge you a shitload of money for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, I think that's all. I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. That was great. I think we covered a lot of stuff. You got your video to do, right? What video are you working on right now?
I got dumb people to make fun of. I'm working on. I don't like talking about what I'm working on because I like.
Okay, fine. You'll leak it.
But it's roughly what we're talking about.
All right, guys. Well, that is Think Before You Sleep. I think that was great. You guys know where to find him. Think Before You Sleep on YouTube. New video coming soon. And
a couple of days, actually.
Anything you want to shout out?
No, not really. Not than my channel name. Enjoy life or whatever.
Right. Well, thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Damn, you sound so defeated. All right, well.
Oh. Now we're depressed.
Yeah, that's all good. All right.
I mean, like I appreciate it. Like I don't because I don't have any motivation to like make my own stream because I like making videos more. But so I appreciate getting invited on.
We'll do it again. We'll definitely do it again. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
And we'll get some more people involved. I want to do like a big stream where it's like you, me. We'll get like maybe like Nux Taku. We'll get Sensitive Society. We'll get some other people. Maybe like WestJet. I can get like Pegasus. Maybe like we can get like a bunch of people. We'll do like a big mega stream.
Yeah, if you have like the right time. The problem is he's in a different country.
We'll get everything going. But all right, bro. I'm gonna go react to some videos. But appreciate you coming on, bro. I really do. We've been trying to set this up. So yeah.
See ya.